The story begins in Ravka, a country split in half from east to west by an enigmatic and lethal force known as the Fold. The Fold is thought to be a place where monsters and evil abound. Ravka has been at war with the countries that surround it, Firda to the north and Shuhan to the south ever since it was formed. Because of this, armies made up of 1st and 2nd units largely guard Ravka. The 1st army consists of regular soldiers and the 2nd army is made up of exceptional soldiers with unique skills known as Grisha. Our protagonist, Alina Starkov, is initially presented to us in East Ravka. She is traveling with her colleagues 1st Unit cartographers to the coastal army camp in Krybersk. While traveling, she thinks back to a prior experience when a supervisor of an orphanage informed her that Alina's parents had died at the hands of the Fold. Alina meets up with Mal Orestev, her childhood best friend from the orphanage, who is currently a tracker with the 1st Army, when she gets to the Fold. Since their units have been partnered up for a mission serving near the edge of the Fold, they both anticipate being together for a while. Their joy is short-lived, though, as Mal is selected by their commander to be a member of a unique team that will traverse the Fold in order to exchange supplies. It's a very risky travel, so Alina worries about his safety, but there is nothing they can do. Alina doesn't get any meals that evening, simply because her mother is from Shuhan. When Mal notices this, he makes the decision to enter a 2nd army tent covertly. Mal goes to steal some fruits for Alina, since the Grisha army is provided with clean meals and comfortable housing due to their rank and authority. Sadly, he is discovered by Zoya, a Grisha with the ability to control air. Nevertheless, she starts to flirt with him and even makes an attempt to get him to spend the night with her rather than penalizing him. Mal declines her right away, since he needs to be with his pal. After that, he hands Alina the bowl of fruits and they have a meal. Alina, who is obviously concerned for Mal at this point, advises him not to go on the assignment, but he must. Alina devises a strategy the following morning because she still doesn't want to be apart from Mal. She destroys the West Ravka coast charts, forcing the special team to hire several cartographers to trace the route. Her unit is reallocated exactly as she had planned, and by the time she boards the ship to cross the Fold, Mal is powerless to stop her. A squalor helps the ship navigate the Fold by increasing the wind on its sails. There are a couple more Grisha aboard. One of them is an Inferni with fire control abilities. They establish the guidelines, stating that no lights may be lit and that everyone must keep silent during the trip. Their lone blue lamp, which is intended to keep them safe, is their only source of light. They discover that the environment inside the Fold is pitch black, with only sporadic lightning strikes providing any illumination. They hear the roaring sounds of the Volcra, who are airborne, dragon-like animals, as they go deeper. The blue lantern soon goes out, so one of the soldiers lights a fire lantern in its place. This proves to be a disastrous choice, since the Volcra are informed of their position right away. They then begin their assault on the store, eliminating each army member in turn. Alexei, one of the troops, is so scared that he leaps from the ship and begins to flee. Mal is seized by a Volcra shortly after, but he tries to defend himself with a knife. Alina takes a shotgun off the ground and uses it to blast the creature, killing it in an attempt to save her closest friend. Then, as she runs to help the hurt Mal, a different monster snatches her from behind. Mal grasps her hand firmly, refusing to release it. She is a rare Grisha known as the Sun Summoner, and right now a brilliant light is coming from her body. The soldiers are waiting for the supply ship to arrive on the coast of West Ravka. A few hours later, they see Alexei leaving the Fold, and he quickly passes out on the ground. Alina and Mal, who are hurt, are laying side by side on the deck as the remainder of the ship finds a way to return to the East Ravkan shore. The action then shifts to the island of Kerch in the city of Ketterdam. Despite being a part of Ravka, the Fold caused it to become isolated from the nation's capital city. There, we meet Kaz, the brains behind the crime, who gets information from Inij, the indentured slave he hires for her superior tracking abilities. It appears that Dreesen, a wealthy trader, is searching for a team to cross the Fold into East Ravka and retrieve something. He is prepared to pay a large sum of money for this. The fact that Dreesen's employment is known to people other than Kaz and his group is the sole issue. Another competing gang leader who is keen to secure the contract is Pekka Rollins, who was once close to Kaz. Kaz makes the decision to acquire a head start in order to surpass Pekka. As soon as Kaz finds out that Dreesen is searching for a Grisha with the ability to persuade people to reveal the truth, he locates Milana. He drives her to Dreesen and buys her some time for the evening. When they arrive, they discover that Dreesen has Alexei imprisoned. Dreesen gives Milana the order to get every detail out of the soldier, because he thinks he knows something about the Fold. When he does, Alexei says that a Sun Summoner saved his life. Dreesen informs them her name is Alina Starkov, after promising him freedom. Nevertheless, after gathering all the data, Dreesen mercilessly guns him down. Then he gives the command for Kaz and his group to go through the Fold and get Alina for him. The action then jumps to a flashback, where Mel, Alina, and the other kids are seen in the orphanage listening to a storyteller. A 2nd army went to the orphanage during that time to test the children and find out if they were Grisha. Alina and Mel fled the orphanage facility and hid in a field out of fear that that they would be parted. In the present, Alina is brought to a healer named Grisha, while an injured Mal is carried to a medic in the 1st Army camp. Following a brief medical examination, she is led to another military tent, where General Kirigan is waiting for her. When he confronts her about her abilities, she continues to deny them, and insists that she is a cartographer. He therefore slices her arm, and to everyone's amazement, a brilliant beam of blinding light shoots out of her body. Alina is swept off her feet and brought to the little palace to learn under Kirigan and the king, before she has a chance to comprehend her new status as a Grisha. Kaz, meantime, is searching desperately for a path across the fold in Ketterdam. But Inaj has an additional issue. Helene, the owner of the brothel, still owns her, and Kaz has been renting her out. She is not going anywhere outside of Ketterdam without Helene's approval. As it happens, Kaz has been gradually clearing her debt, but he currently lacks the funds to fully purchase her freedom. Later that evening, Pekka and his guys pay him a visit, and they beat him up right away for taking over Dreesen's position. He gives Kaz two choices: either abandon the project or face execution. After giving Kaz some time to reflect, he departs. Later on, Kaz sees a woman calculating money in his casino in the same manner as the East Ravkans. He calls her in to have a private conversation because he believes she is from the other side. After some convincing, she acknowledges that her daughter is a Grisha and that they fled here because they didn't want to be apart. As soon as Kaz hears this, he offers her money in exchange for information on how they crossed the fold. Though she doesn't know much, the conductor who assisted them has a name. Conversely, Helene, who is aware of Dreesen's employment, calls Inaj. She has an offer for her. If she kills a man for her, she will pay off Inaj's whole debt. Helene gives her a location where the man might be found and suggests that he is a human trafficker. Although it goes against her religious beliefs, Inaj is reluctant to accept the idea, but can't say no given the benefits. It turns out that he is the same conductor Kaz had been searching for. A group of Jordans attack Alina and the accompanying 2nd Army as they make their way to the little palace. They defeat multiple Grisha and guardsmen due of their massive numerical advantage. As one of the attackers approaches Alina, Kirigan intervenes and splits him in half with his shadow magic. Following this, the general and Alina mount their horse and leave the scene. They pause for a rest and start talking after a time. Since she is the only one with the ability to destroy the fold, he explains the significance of her power. He goes on to say that because of her extraordinary strength she will always be a target, but she is not alone. They have a quick conversation before heading to the palace, which Kirigan describes as the safest location in the entire Ravka. They eventually reach the palace, where Alina is given a sumptuous room of her own. Her enormous, opulent suite, complete with an opulent shower and a wardrobe full of clothes, has left her speechless. She does, however, miss Mal, who is likewise concerned about her. The alleged human trafficker is apprehended by Inaj in the following scene, and she recognizes him as the same person who abducted her and her brother and sold them when they were small. She demands to know where her brother is and keeps him at knife point. She gets ready to kill the man when she doesn't hear back from him. Just in time, though, Kaz appears and says they can't kill the conductor because he's the only way to get to Alina. He then gives the conductor the instruction to lead them to Little Palace. With Inaj unable to perform her task, Kaz considers a different strategy to exchange her freedom for her freedom. Later on, he approaches Helene and promises to pay her back in full after they return from their assignment, offering her his entire casino as collateral. Alina awakens the next morning from a dream she had about a gigantic, shining stag. A group of maids storm into her room a short while later. They get to work right away, getting her ready for her hour-long meeting with the king. When she's ready, Kirigan takes over and guides her to the king and queen. In front of the highness and a small group of people, the general presents Alina. He then gets ready to show them her power. He first casts a shadow over the hall, then grabs her wrist to increase her strength. As a result, she explodes with light, encircling Kirigan and herself in a dazzling bubble. The king, who is impressed, gives the order for her to be trained fast in order to defeat the fold. Alina visits the palace library later that day to find out more about her strange stag dream. She is browsing a book when the king's eerie spiritual counselor, the Aprit, approaches her. He chooses to give her the true tale of the stag book she is holding, which is about the Bonesmith, one of the first Grishas ever documented in history. The Aprit claimed that the Bonesmith desired to increase the Grisha's power. In order to give them power, he created animals out of his own bones using his magical abilities. According to legend, a Grisha's powers will increase manifold if they kill one of these animals and fuse a portion of its bones with their own. As a token of friendship, the Aprit gives her a book after the narrative is over. He then delivers her to Bagra, an elderly teacher well known for teaching Grisha how to use their abilities. Tough as she is, Bagra is not readily impressed by Alina's strength. The elderly woman tells her to return once she realizes the actual value of her skills, since she isn't prepared for the instruction. Later that evening, Alina writes Mal letters in which she details all of her current problems. She says that although the palace's opulence and dazzle are wonderful, she would much rather be in a tiny tent with him. Elsewhere, under the conductor's direction, are Kaz, Inaj, and a sniper named Jesper. As they approach the little palace, palace. While traveling, Kaz asks the conductor how they may enter the palace covertly. He responds by telling him about Nina, a Grisha who has the ability to control people's thoughts. However, she is abducted by the Driscoll, a select organization of Jordan witch hunters, before they can reach her. The conductor wants Kaz and the crew to abandon their mission after this occurrence, but they are unwilling to comply. He is instructed by Kaz to assist them in crossing the fold. They will figure out the remaining portion on their own. The conductor consents, but 3 things are needed: a goat, a peck of peculiar plant, and 20 pounds of coal. Then, while he goes to retrieve the goat, Kaz sends Inaj after the special plan and Jesper for the coal. Jesper becomes sidetracked while obtaining these things because there are people gambling on the street. In addition, he begins to gamble, losing every penny that was handed to him in order to purchase coal. As a result, before heading back to his group, he steals the coal. The group is led by the conductor to train tracks close to the fold's edge later that evening. They then get on a train and depart from there. The issue is that Jesper has only been able to take 16 pounds of alabaster coal. They are abruptly attacked by the Volcra as they proceed more into the fold. They are unable to outrun them because they are out of coal. Soon after, the train begins to be besieged, and for a brief period of time, it appears that they won't make it. However, during this critical moment, Jesper displays his shooting prowess and starts to shoot every Volcra, eventually forcing them to escape the fold and enter East Ravka.